So, welcome to this episode of the Willingdon on Mission podcast. My name is John. I'm one of the pastors at Willingdon Church, and this is the second of four episodes with S&J. S&J are missionaries in Southeast Asia. We're using S&J, it's their initials, but we're just using it for security purposes. Welcome here, S&J.
Hi.
So if you haven't caught the first episode, those of you who are watching or listening, please do head back to the first episode. It gives a fabulous groundwork. It lays the groundwork and tells the story of how S&J got to this particular point in their life, and it's quite a journey that takes you from Canada to Thailand to France and Germany to Myanmar to Lithuania and good grief. Anyway, it's a wonderful journey. Uh, but what I'm interested in hearing about now for this episode is what are you doing now? Like how has God invited what has God invited you into for this season? Who are you relating to? How do you invest your days? Tell us a couple of stories about these days. So go for it.
Yeah, so we kind of left off with us having returned to Europe after the military coup in Myanmar, the country we're serving in right now, in 2021. And then through some detours, also, we arrived back here in 2023, in the fall of 23. And so we've been back for almost 1.5 years. And are now back into language study of Burmese. Myanmar has many different languages, but we're studying the Burmese language. And just in general, felt like last time when we arrived in Myanmar, we felt like God had called us to this place that was opening up and full of potential, and we could just explore and invest, and there was so much to be gained. And so after the devastating coup and the new reality of this country and for the people here as well, we just sort of felt like this time around, we had a very different invitation and call from God. And to us, it felt like God was inviting us to join in the people's suffering and just be the presence of Christ here in the midst of all of that. Because even before we moved back, we knew there's no prospect of the situation itself getting better, and there's very little we can do to alleviate the pain. And we kind of reflected on Christ coming into this world, not to fix it, because he really didn't. I mean, he interacted with people and he touched people's lives, but he did not fix anything about the oppression at that time and the political circumstances and people's reality and everyday life struggles. And so we just kind of felt like you are called to be a light, a city on a hill in the midst of all of the troubles that are here. And people will be encouraged by it. And that's really our hope that when people see us, even one, like we once had a conversation with a local person, and this person said to us, when we see foreigners, we still feel like it's okay because when it gets when it gets really, really bad, that's when all the foreigners leave. And the foreigners did leave this place, and we are some of the only ones around. And it feels like a great honor to share this special time with them and just be with people and sit in that suffering and listen and carry it with them and pray and try and be the light of God for them in this time. Um, yeah, and to just sort of learn more about what encouragement and comfort looks like and what how we can pass that on to others.
Yeah. So Myanmar is an incredibly difficult context. Yeah, on the World Democracy Index, it is in second last place. It sits in between North Korea and Afghanistan. So that gives you a little insight as to where we are on the freedom side of things. It's a very hot country during the summer. It'll be around 40 degrees every single day, and at night it'll go down to maybe 33. So there is no cooling off, and that is also combined with the fact that there's very little electricity in this country due to mismanagement
And war.
And flooding last year meant the demise of several power plants. And so we currently live in a good neighborhood, one of the best neighborhoods in the entire country, and we get 4 hours of electricity, followed by 4 hours off, and then 4 hours on and 4 hours off throughout the day. And that's as good as it gets in this country. We have other friends in a different city, and they get one hour 3 times a day. So,
and that's the second largest city of the country.
Yeah. And so there are also then shortages such as fuel and food. The grocery stores are mostly like they're all half full, and like 1 week you can find butter, and then for like 3 months you can't find any butter. And they don't need it a whole lot, but
we do love butter.
Don't know how to cook Asian food so well. So we cook what we know. And so, yeah. It's a country where all the news is only ever getting worse. There's more fighting, more war, another random bombing. It's a steady decline, I would say. And so, everything that we hear is always worse than the last thing that we heard. And spiritually speaking, there are some reached people groups, but we're working with the Burmese, which are a Buddhist people group, and they are unreached. They're a people group of approximately 30 million people, and I think less than 1% is reached. And
And so, when we were thinking about moving back, we first and foremost felt this call to encourage our brothers and sisters here, because they have been through decades of oppression and just difficulties from all sides. And we felt like the church is suffering here. God sees it, and he wants us to be part of, and some encouragement for these people that are holding on to their faith in the midst of all of this. And when we left last time, COVID was hitting the country pretty badly. And there was a couple in our neighborhood that had started a church here a few years ago. And the pastor was a Burmese former Buddhist believer, which is so rare and such a key person in many networks, and such a key person for cultural learning, and also, so many things. And then this person passed away from COVID just because there was no oxygen supply available. And it was just so heartbreaking. And we prayed that if God was going to lead us back to the city, we were looking for a house anywhere in the city, and it's a huge city. If he brought us back to this neighborhood, we would know that we're supposed to encourage the widow that's continuing the ministry, and the elders, and the group of people that are trying to keep this church going. And so our friends were looking for our local friends were looking for a house for us. And the house they found, they sent us the link to it. And we were like, wait, did they just send us the link to our old house? And then we zoomed in a little more. And then we saw, no, this is just one street over, and we're back in the same neighborhood, and it's right around the corner from that church. And on our first Sunday back, we came and we spoke to the wife of the pastor who had passed away. And she was so grateful. She was in tears. She was like, thank you for coming back. We are so in need of people coming and encouraging us. And so that was one of the ways in which we felt like we want to serve here, is to just come alongside these struggling believers and learn from them about perseverance, and learn from them about culture, and then also serve in whichever way they would like us to serve. And it's been great. Like, we have really enjoyed becoming a part of this community, and for it to be right in our neighborhood is great, because then we can connect our work, which you can share more about now.
Yeah.
We can connect our work directly to the church and what like it's in close proximity to one another. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so, like for our church, yeah, they've started a school in our neighborhood as well. And so sometimes we volunteer at the school. Jay is a teacher, and so that is really helpful. I play soccer with the guys every other week we play. And so during April, there's a big water festival here in the country, and people are boycotting it because they don't want to be too celebratory and happy in such devastating times. And so our church is having a little youth camp that we'll be helping with and attending.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just little ways that we get to support and encourage our church here.
Mm-hmm.
And then practically what we wanted to do, as we said last week, you can't come to Myanmar without a business. And so we started our own small social enterprise. The work we were involved in before does not exist in the same way anymore. So to come back into the country, we had to find a new way of landing here. Yeah. And so we started a business with a local couple, and we just saw the need for young people haven't been going to school since COVID started, because then there were lockdowns and they closed the schools. And then there was the coup and the military took over the schools. And so it became,
it's unsafe for them.
Unsafe for them
to even sometimes leave the house, not just go to school or anything, but their parents are worried for their safety because they're also being kidnapped these days to go and do military service and all sorts of things. So young adults, youth are especially, compromised right now.
Yeah. And so we thought, what is a way that we can come alongside some young people and give them some additional training, some new skills, something that'll help them in the future, or something that'll give them a little bit more of a hope in the future. And so, we started this small social enterprise. It's called Ep.2 Home.
And we do interior products like cushion covers and blankets and towels and things like that. Mostly sewing, and S quickly picked up sewing, which I'm incapable of. And he is actually training our trainees how to sew. And I am teaching them English, and we're able to develop our own curriculum. So we do it alongside the Bible stories and kind of just go from creation to Christ. And it's opened up amazing opportunities to share in depth, but then also because we do it one-on-one, hear from our trainees and just live life together and try and offer them a safe place to work. So a place where their parents aren't worried to send them to work, and where we can we drop them off back at home every day. Even though these people are in their 20s, they're too scared to go outside alone. So this is part of our ministry to drop them off. And so this has kind of been what we have been up to. And the way we connected with even our trainees now is also just amazing to us.
Yeah, so when our first time living in Myanmar, we lived in one house in this neighborhood, and our neighbors were a pair of doctors, and we didn't have a whole lot to do with them during most of our time here in Myanmar. But as soon as the coup happened, then they felt like they weren't sure which of the neighbors they could trust anymore, and so they came to the foreigners in the neighborhood. And so every evening we would sit together and have tea and discuss the news and talk about the future and politics and occasionally religion as well. And so we had this really deep connection with them in these last couple weeks that we lived in Myanmar the first time. And then we left, and a couple days later they thought, oh, if they're leaving, then we should probably get out of here too. And so they took off to the UK where they had a son. And so when we told them that we were moving back to Myanmar, they said, can you go to our old house, or can you go to our house and check in with the family that's living there? Their house their house helper was staying at their house. He had moved in with his family, which a wife and two daughters. And so, yeah, when we got back, he was gravely ill with cancer and ended up passing away.
Right after we came here.
Yeah, right when we arrived. And so the first time that we went and met the family was actually at the funeral of house helper, the man that we knew. And so we connected with these two young girls, late teens, who were, yeah, devastated by what had happened and just unsure of what they could do. They couldn't go to school or anything. And so,
and the mom was struggling to figure out, how to make a living and what to do with the daughters. And they come from a very poor family. And so we just kind of like started connecting with them, inviting them over because we live close by. And through those interactions, the older one, she decided, or she asked us if she could be our first trainee. We weren't even ready to start the program yet at the time, but because she was so eager, we just felt like we could step out in faith. And she knows a little bit of English, which helped a lot. And so we started with her, and we're able to just work through the grief of losing her father and having her future taken away from her in many ways. And just sort of like that whole process throughout the year, it has been so wonderful, so precious. We feel so connected with this family. And it's something that God started even years before through this contact with our neighbors back then, when we felt like we got nothing accomplished here the first time, or like nothing significant happened. Now we look back and feel like, oh yes, those were the foundations, the prayers prayed, the conversations we had. Those were the foundations for many of the relationships we have now with different people. And so we praise God for that and feel like he knew all along. And he had, for example, these girls in mind when we were here the first time around and didn't even know them yet. So yeah, we work with young people. We try to mentor. We try to be a safe place. We try to love them and share Jesus with them. And then we also serve our local church. Yeah.
For some key relationships, and has given you some creativity and some open doors. And so we're praising God with you. So thanks for that glimpse of what you're up to now. It sounds challenging. I pray for continued provision and grace and strength in the midst of a really challenging context. For those of you watching and listening, please pray for these guys. And please catch episode 3 that will come next week. God bless you all.